Hi, I'm Jeremy Sod, and today I'm going to be teaching you about the Jazz Age in American modernist art.
I'm Jeff Sanchez, a jazz enthusiast, also here to talk about the Jazz Age. The Jazz Age was a period in U.S. history from the early 1920s, post-World War I, to the beginning of the Great Depression. The Jazz Age took place predominantly in the U.S., but it also occurred in some of the countries that were part of the Triple Entente during World War I, such as Great Britain and France. After World War I, there was a boom in the economy. Lots of people were investing, people were spending money they didn't have, and people were overall living what we know to be as an American dream. The Jazz Age was a time of celebration and embracing ingenuity after the win of the war. This was during the Roaring Twenties. Women were dressing in ways that at the time were deemed inappropriate. People were celebrating, and many new dance and music styles were becoming popular. Jazz had been around since the 1800s, but upon the ending of World War I, there was a major spike in its popularity.
Mr. Sanchez, you say you're a jazz enthusiast, but who coined this term, the Jazz Age?
You're right, Mr. Saad. I'm a jazz enthusiast. So I need a stump guitar? No, I need a stump hat. So to answer your question, the person who keyed the 1920s as the Jazz Age was F. Scott Fitzgerald. He was born in the 1890s and passed away in the 1940s. He was an American novelist.
Alright, Mr. Smarty Pants, jazz enthusiast. Well, F. Scott Fitzgerald might have coined it as the Jazz Age, but I bet you can't name one person who influenced it or was a major person during the Jazz Age.
You're right, Mr. Saad. I can't name one jazz enthusiast, but I can name three: Nick LaRocca, Louis Armstrong, and Paul Whiteman. All three of these people had a major influence in the Jazz Age, with not only their music, but their attitudes as well. Nick LaRocca was a jazz musician born in 1889 and who died in 1961. He is famous for being one of the first musicians to produce jazz music during this age. In 1917, he and his band, called the Original Dixieland Band, shocked the nation when they performed a stunning performance in New York. Louis Armstrong was a composer, musician, and actor who is considered to be one of the most influential persons during the Jazz Age. He was born in 1901 and passed away due to a heart attack in 1971. He is famous for many reasons, but is applauded for his ability to play the trumpet for extended periods of time. He is considered to be one of the first famous African American musicians, and his jazz music is still widely listened to today. Paul Whiteman, born in 1890 and who died in 1967, was an American composer and band member who often referred to himself as the King of Jazz. Paul Whiteman is best known for his orchestral jazz. Two of the most known works are Rhapsody in the Blue and Mississippi in the Mud. At times he is criticized for not producing the true jazz music, but a hybrid. With this said, this new style of jazz was an influence for others, and after a while there were lots of composers playing his style of jazz.
Thank you, Professor Jeff Sanchez, for sharing your Jazz Age information with us today. Do you have anything to say?
Well, you're welcome, Jeremy, but do you know anything about the American modernist art?
You may be the jazz enthusiast, but I know a lot about American modernistic art. During World War I and through World War II, American modernist art became very prevalent. As stated by Jeff earlier, the Jazz Age was during the Roaring Twenties. For the most part, so was the period of American modernist art. Before the period of American modernist art, a lot of the artwork was similar. American modernist art was a new form of expressionism. Artists were trying to create new, unique art that may not have been accepted in the past. This new modernist art was predominantly fueled by industrialization. These artists felt that as technology developed and became new, so should their artwork. Some of the major artists that were during the American modernist art at the time were George Lux and Robert Henry. George Lux, born in 1867 and who died in 1933, was an American modern artist. One of his famous pieces of art was the Armistice Night, which was a painting of New York's Central Park. George's art was based around the city of New York and all the beauty that surrounded the city. He was one of the first American modernist artists, and his inspiring artwork paved the way to the works of future modernist artists. Another modernist artist was Robert Henry, who got inspiration from George Lux. He was born in 1865 and died in 1929. Unlike George's work, where he would paint and create art about the beauty of New York, Robert's works displayed the not-so-great portions of America. Robert would go to the poor neighborhoods and paint to show the struggles that people had to deal with on a daily basis. Both of these artists' works were modernistic because through the medium of artwork, they expressed the reality of American life at the time.
Hi, I'm Jeff Sanchez, a jazz enthusiast.
And I'm Jeremy Saab, the expert on American modernistic art, and thanks for taking a trip with us back in time.